Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Regardless of where you are, welcome. My name is Michelle Green, and this is the webcast for The Greatest Lie Ever Told. I want to welcome everyone watching, and for those of you on the replay as well, yes, it will be recorded. So if you have to leave early or put the kids to bed, rest assured you'll be able to watch it tomorrow, the 11th of November. Well, today is November 10th. It is the about 9 p.m. here on the East Coast, and I'm coming to you live from my home here in Hartford, Connecticut. I am so delighted that you're here, and I want to share with you some information from my new book. This is called No More Big Butts. It's my first book, and I'll be happy to share with you some of the information on tonight's webcast. So with that, let's jump right in. I'll be working the controls, and let's jump on to the greatest lie ever told. Well, one of the things that we notice is that most people tend to, well, before I get started, let me just go over tonight's agenda. About 35 minutes, I'll be covering how to tame the gremlin of fear and why a childhood list can help you get what you want, why being interested can stop you from getting what you are worthy of, and how your BS stops you cold in your tracks. So why another book? Well, I wrote this book because of my own issues. You see, I had over 2 decades. I've been studying personal growth. I had lots of absorbing, no implementation. I didn't take action, and I thought knowledge, the old saying, knowledge is power. It wasn't applicable to me, and I had total frustration. And I've got a free video for you at the end of tonight's webcast. I'll tell you where you can get a free video that will show you how to add some excitement to your life. Now, don't believe a word I say, and here's why. Unless it makes total sense to you, and I haven't mastered everything. I've done a lot of reading, I've listened, I've gone to a ton of events, and I know what works from my personal experience. I'm doing the best I can with what I've learned, and that's what most people are doing. And when I learn a little more, I'll share it with you, and we're all in this together. Now, here's a quote that I really love, and it says, "The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation." And basically, leading a life of quiet desperation is what a lot of us do. We get stuck, we get stuck in that routine of everyday living. We do the same things. We take the same routes home. We eat the same foods. We go to the same restaurants. We go on the same vacations. We're in this life of quiet desperation where someone asks you, "How are you doing?" And, "Oh yeah, everything's fine." But it's not. And that's where the quiet desperation comes from. And examples of living a life of quiet desperation includes things like secretly wishing things were better for you and just a feeling of settling. You're settling for what things are. You really don't want it, but you'll take it. And you have this guilty feeling and feeling selfish if you desire to have more. That is normal. It is always normal to want more. And just because, don't feel guilty or feel that you're ungrateful for the things that you have. More in abundance is a natural thing. And we also rationalize excuses. And, the big buts, that's what I refer to them as, the excuses. We rationalize. And you know what? If you say the word rationalize, it sounds like rational lies. So not knowing how to make things or not knowing how to get what you want also contributes to a life of quiet desperation. Now, you need to live the life you're worthy of. And this is a quote that I love. And it says, "The most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any." Now, I want you to close your eyes and imagine the possibilities. Think of all the things that you would love to have. I don't want you to think about if it's possible or how you're going to do it right now. I just want you to imagine if it were possible. And this could be anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be, it could be material things. That's the fastest way to actually prove to yourself that this works. Manageable activities, just thinking about what you would like to happen. And that's where a lot of adults, as we cross the bridge to adulthood, we tend to lose our imagination. We don't think that we can get things anymore, and guess what? We stop thinking about them. We pack up our dreams, we pack up our aspirations, and we figure that's childish things. And that's not true. I want you to reignite your imagination and just think about the things that are possible for you. So let's move on. The way that you can turn this is to take 100% personal responsibility for your life. I know a lot of people do not want to take responsibility. And you know why? It's not fun at first because you need to become accountable, and a lot of people are just looking for people to blame. Things such as their circumstances. They use circumstances to justify why they can't do something. They'll say things like, well, it's not really feasible for me to go to school because I have like 3 little kids at home, or I have to take care of my elderly parents, or I don't have a college degree. These are all circumstances that people use to justify the way that they are. Now, this is a quote by the playwright George Bernard Shaw, and I love it. So if you want to read it along, I will read it. And it says, people are always blaming their circumstances for what they are. He says, I don't believe in circumstances. The people who get on in this world are the people who get up, look for the circumstances they want. And this is my favorite. And if they can't find them, they make them. So if things aren't to your liking and situations are not to your liking, guess what? You make them to your liking. Now, this is a favorite of mine, and it's the simplified Chinese language, the symbols for chaos and opportunity. And if you have a chance to go to any of the online translators, you can type in chaos and opportunity, and guess what? The exact symbols will appear. Try it for yourself. Because in our moments of chaos, there are opportunities. And likewise, in the moments of opportunity, there can be chaos. So don't look at chaos as something to avoid. Look deep within and see where the opportunity lies. I guarantee you, if you step back far enough, you'll find some opportunity. Now, this also helps us to not play the blame game. What is the blame game? I mean, my goodness, it is so easy to blame your parents, your boss, the government, the economy. Oh my gosh, and what I just spoke about, your circumstances. We do this so we don't have to take ownership of our lives, because once we take ownership of our lives and it doesn't work, we have no one else to look to but ourselves. And we look to use others as scapegoats to justify the reason why we can't live the lives we want, have the material things we want, the success, the abundance in all forms, financial, health, spiritual, relationships. Don't play the blame game. Take 100% responsibility for your life and your circumstances. Now, I love this because this talks about why a lot of people are stuck. They want things, but they're unwilling to go beyond their comfort zone. Now, if you look right in the center of the graphic, and you'll see in that white space, there's your comfort zone. Now, there may be a goal that you want to do. Let's use a very common goal of weight loss. And for you to start losing weight or reducing weight or shredding it, or because you don't want to get it back, there's things that you have to do. There's behaviors that you're going to have to change, such as you may have to take up an exercise program, and that's something you may not have done previously, or you haven't done it in several years. And then again, there's the risk in going for what you want. How are you're not certain you're going to get the exact results you want, because you may have to try a couple of different techniques. So there is a risk involved. There's time that you have to either take away from yourself or your family, or find other activities that will help you to get where you want. And we look at this as risk, and we look to avoid risk. But here's something. You can never avoid risk. It's going to be there whether you choose it or not. And once you start taking those calculated risks and just stretching little by little, guess what? You start getting what you want. And then your small comfort zone expands even more. You have a bigger comfort zone, and you continue the process over and over again. Now let's talk about fear. This is the one thing that stops so many people from going after what they want. They're afraid of what people are going to say. They're afraid of what people will think of them. They're afraid to be successful. They're afraid of failure. And I never really understood, in the beginning what it meant about being afraid of success. And one of the things that I had to overcome was the fear of success, meaning that I felt like I wouldn't be able to sustain the success. So I felt like if I didn't go for it, then I wouldn't have to sustain it. And that was my fear. If I got there, how can I keep it up? And we have so many different types of fears, and we use this monster or this gremlin that I referred to in my book. I call it the gremlin of fear, to stop us from getting the things that we want. Now, here's a way that you can control and overcome fear. You see, fear is useful. You don't want to be without fear. Fear is helpful. It helps us to get away from danger. That intuition that we have that something is wrong, and we're looking around and we don't feel that we're in a safe situation. That is where fear helps us. Fear can be there to preserve your life. It is life preserving. So don't try to escape fear. Everyone feels fear. The thing about it is that they face the fear head on. They they take action despite being afraid, and they receive valuable lessons. When you're afraid and you do something and you conquer that fear, it's not as fearful as it once was. Everyone, I'm a flight attendant, and they're always a little bit anxious when it's time to go back to recurrent training. We go every year for recurrent training. And everyone's always anxious and, oh, I've got to do this. I've got to do it perfectly. I've got to do this. But once they're done with it, piece of cake. And that's just how it is. You have to walk through the fear and do the thing that you're afraid of the most, and the fear will go away. Now, I love this quote. It's by Mark Twain. He was an author that once lived here in Hartford, Connecticut, back in the 1800s. He was best known for his work, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, which was published in 1876. And his other one, probably his most well-known work, is Huckleberry Finn, and he published that in 1874. Now, this quote says, some of the worst things in my life never happen. And that's because we go into the future. You go into the future, you fantasize about the worst possible outcomes. And you're fantasizing in reverse. Fantasize for good things. Fear does not exist in the present. If you stay right here, you're not afraid. When you go into the future, you're anticipating future events, and then you have all these different scenarios of what can happen. You go into the past and think about things you've done, and if it may haunt you, you can't change the past. You can't go into the future right now. When you stay in the present, stay in the now, you can overcome and control fear. Now, I love this because it says, all great truth begins as blasphemy, again, from George Bernard Shaw. And a couple of past truths were, the world is flat, and if you go too far, you'll fall off. And I imagine Christopher Columbus probably said, and all the other explorers of his day trying to find the new worlds and discover new lands, probably said, well, you know what? If the world is flat, when we see the edge, we'll turn around. And luckily, we're happy that they had the courage to go for the things and discover. Also, you can't communicate via radio waves. The Italian inventor Marconi was responsible for one of the first radio waves and communication, and it was probably a predecessor to all of our cell phones and all this fantastic wireless communication that we now enjoy and seem to can't live without. And here's a favorite one of mine. Your heart will explode if you run a mile in less than 4 minutes. This was thought of as impossible until Roger Bannister, an English athlete, broke the barrier and ran a mile in less than 4 minutes. So what past truths about yourself are you continuing to keep with you? Think about that. Now, let's look at your current level of awareness. That little small dot, that's where you are right now. And those are the results that you're getting. Now, imagine how your world would expand if your level of awareness gets bigger. See, once you're aware of something, you have a whole world of possibilities and ideas, intuition that starts to come to you. So the first thing is, what is your level of awareness? And start to see if you can expand your level of awareness and see what kinds of results that brings into your life. Now let's get to the meat and the real question of today's or tonight's webcast, which is, what causes you to live the greatest lie ever told? I believe it's your perception of the world, and perception is everything. Your perceptions control what you get, and it ultimately controls how you live your life. Perception is so key. My sister is a member of Toastmasters, and she mentions how they use fractured fairy tales from perspective, and how we always see the fairy tales from whoever's point of view that we want. And I love the story she talks about with Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So we always hear how Goldilocks was looking to get, the beds and the food. But told from the bear's point of view, Goldilocks was breaking and entering. She stole porridge. She slept in their beds. Basically, she was an uninvited stranger and just came into their lives and just took whatever she wanted. So think of perspective from that point. And once you have that perspective, then you can decide if you are in growth or protection mode. You see, you have to decide or be aware, as we just talked about, which one you're living in. Because guess what? You're never standing still. You're either moving forward or you're falling behind. And the growth cannot occur if you're falling behind. And that's why a lot of people lead lives of quiet desperation, because they have nothing to look forward to. You have to inject novelty, fun, excitement into your life. You, again, are responsible for that, and don't look to other people to do it for you. Now, here's the greatest lie that ever told, is that we have to accept life the way it is. And how many people just say, oh, that's just the way I am, or that's just the card I've been dealt, or that's the way the cookie crumbles. They've resigned themselves to whatever circumstances they have. Again, this is circumstances. You can find circumstances you want, and if you can't find them, you make them. So let's continue on and see ways that we can not live the greatest lie ever told. And it's all about your BS. Yeah, your BS. Well, maybe not the BS you're thinking about. I'm talking about your belief system. You see, beliefs are just things that we've inherited, from parents, authority figures, anyone that had an influence over us as young children. And basically, our beliefs are really their beliefs that they've handed down to us. They're hand-me-downs. And we had these beliefs, and then we had new experiences we gave a meaning to. And this happened over and over again, this perception. And we have our filter of reality. And this forms all of the things that we hold to be true, whether they are true or not. You see, our beliefs are usually formed before age 10. And once they're there, unless you take steps to get rid of them, they're going to hold you back and have you not live the life that you deserve to live. Now, again, let's talk about perception because this is key. And here's what I know. Perception shapes your view of the world. Everyone has their perception. Think of a cop that has just been called to an accident. And let's say there's about 4 or 5 different eyewitnesses. So the cop feels, oh, wow, that's great. I have some eyewitnesses. So let me just go over and get a statement. And the cop will go over and ask every person, and he'll get 5 different viewpoints of what happened. And this is because everyone sees the world as they are and not as it truly is. And it's our perception of events that cause us to either live by design or live by default. Perception shapes everything you do. That's why everyone can have a different outlook or viewpoint about what's going on. So let's continue on and see how beliefs affect us. Well, they really affect our self-esteem, and our self-esteem is how good we feel about ourselves and how much action we're actually going to take to get the things you want. Because if your self-esteem is low, you're not going to take action because you have self-doubt that it won't work. And your beliefs affect the relationships. My goodness, this is so key nowadays. You see people having such a hard time with relationships because they may have adopted beliefs or beliefs that were handed to them about how relationships are to be a certain way. It also affects your vocation, whether you are self-employed, you have an employer, freelancer, it doesn't matter. You have a limit or belief about what your vocation does, what your vocation earns, how your vocation is supposed to act, and you carry these beliefs with you. Your beliefs really affect your mental and physical health. My goodness. If you think that it is not possible for you to be slim and healthy because you say, oh, my family has always been overweight and this is not possible. We're just, we're heavy. We're built that way. This is a belief that something that is limiting you and holds you back from living life on your terms. And again, your spiritual outlook, what you think the world to be, who you think your creator is, whether you feel that the world is for you or against you, these are all belief and so much more. Now, only if you believe it's possible, it's true. Now, I'm sure you've probably heard of the phrase, if you believe it's true, or if you think you can, you're right. And if you think you can't, you're right. And that is so true. So if you take a look at the graphic, you'll see how we start off with a thought. This book started off as a thought. I had an idea. And then I had a feeling about it. I said, maybe I should write a book, and I thought about it. And depending on how strong my self-esteem was or the belief system that I had, I took action or I would not take action. And again, the action that you take gives you results or the outcome. Once you get these results, you take a look at them and think, can I do something else? Can I do better? Or did I get the results I wanted? Because guess what? You're always going to get results. You're going to get results you want, or you're going to get results you don't want, but you will always get results. And you'll take this result and you'll start the pattern over again. Your thoughts determine what feelings you have. Your feelings give you the intuition, whether you will take action or not take action, and it starts all over again. Now, how do you get what you want? I mean, people have been asking this question for years, so I'm going to give you the answer. So if you're taking notes, this is a good one, okay? Are you ready for the answer? How to get what you want? You have got to know what you want. You would be surprised at how many people do not know what they want. I mean, it's crazy. You can go down almost any main street and say, hey, what do you want? And I bet 80% of the people would be, I don't know, they give you a blank stare. But the way to get what you want is you've got to get crystal clear. You got to get clear on where you are right now, which is your point A, and then you've got to get clear on where you want to be. Now you've got to reignite your imagination. And earlier I asked you to close your eyes and start imagining things that you would like to have happen in your life. I love this quote again by Albert Einstein because he feels imagination is even more important than knowledge. How's that coming from a genius? Because he says knowledge is limited to all that we now know and understand, while imagination embraces the entire world and all there ever will be to know and understand. From Mr. Albert Einstein. Now, here's a little exercise I want you to go along with. Pretend you're writing your Christmas list as a kid. And you know how kids, when they're writing, they have no limitations. They're like, I want a Wii. I want two Wiis. I want a swimming pool. I want a bike. Oh, yeah, I want another bike. They're not limited. They don't censor themselves like adults do. We censor ourselves with this looming question. How? How? You know, it's time for you to daydream. You know, no one's going to come around and tap you on your hand for daydreaming. This is where you need to reignite your imagination, start daydreaming about the things that you want. You got to get crystal clear on it. Once you're crystal clear, there are actions that need to be taken. Yes. And this is where a lot of people drop the ball. Imagination is the first step, but there needs to be more. There's always a trailblaze for whatever it is that you want to accomplish, whatever you want to be, whatever you want to do, or whatever you want to have. With so much information, and the internet has just provided virtually unlimited information on just about anything you want. We have so much information, and that trail has been blazed. And if for some reason it hasn't, you can guess the actions that need to be done. You can always test and tweak your results, okay? So you can see how this belief system, your BS, can pretty much limit your life or propel you to get the things that you want. So if you're taking notes and you have your handout, I want you to list your top 10 limiting beliefs. I want you to become kind of like a cheerleader in reverse. List the things that you feel hold you back from getting what you want. And don't think that it has to be something so grandiose like I want to save the world, I want to cure cancer. It doesn't have to be that big. Start small. A lot of times, list the things that you feel are holding you back. Maybe you want to know how to use tools, and you're tired of every time something breaks around your home or your apartment, you have to call out a handyman. You know, maybe that's one thing that you feel like you're not good with tools, something simple like that, or something even bigger. It doesn't matter. It's going to be unique to you. Become a cheerleader in reverse to find these limiting beliefs. Once you do, I want you to go back over each limiting belief and justify why it can't happen. Just pretend you're a trial lawyer and you're trying to justify for yourself why it can't happen and all the reasons why it can't happen. And again, the circumstances why it can't happen. And once you have those, you're going to transform each limiting belief. Now, I know transform seems like such a huge word, but once you take a look at something you no longer want in your life and you can reverse it, that, my friends, is a transformation. So I want you to go through each belief and challenge it. Again, let's talk about perspective. Remember Goldilocks, the perspective from the three bears' point of view, their vantage point? Look at your belief from a different point and run it through your belief filter. We have this filter. We run everything through, and if we just take note that whatever we have, it doesn't always have to be that way. Reframe the experience. Give it a new meaning. Make a personal history. You can rewrite your personal history. History has done it all along. There are scores of people who contributed to great works, great inventions that have been conveniently left out of history. So you can rewrite your own personal history and help to eliminate your limiting beliefs. Now, again, it comes back to action. You got to take action even though you're afraid. Remember, people that are famous and not famous, the reason they get these great results and causes the rest of us to go, wow, they're just talented, or they're fortunate, or they're charmed, they take action even though they're afraid. Knees knocking, fingers can't even type properly, shaking, afraid to hit the submit button, all that stuff, they still take action despite the fear. And you can dream all day long, but unless you do something about it, it remains a dream. And you got to take consistent action. Again, going back to our weight reduction example, if you eat great one day, you eat salads and your fiber and you take all the things in your supplements and you work out and you just drinking your water and you do all that one day and you don't do it for another 3 months, that's the same thing. If you took consistent action, I would rather see you take smaller, consistent action steps than trying to do everything at once. So take those limiting beliefs, take one at a time. Don't try to do too much at one time. You've got to build up this muscle, and equally important, you want to prove to yourself that you can do it, because you can do it. And once you do it one time, you build confidence, and this confidence will give you more competence, and it's just this great cycle that keeps going, helping you to live by design and not by default. So before we go any further, I really want you to get this concept about interest and commitment. You see, a lot of people are interested in getting certain results in their lives. There's things they want to be, do, and have, and they're interested in doing it, but they're not committed to doing it. And this is a great definition I've heard from different people, Bob Proctor, John Assaraf, and it says, when you're interested, you'll only take action when it's convenient. But when you're committed, you'll do whatever it takes that is moral, legal, and ethical. And I love that. So if you are truly committed, you will look for the circumstances that you want. If you can't find them, you'll make them. You will take action because you're committed. You'll take each of your limiting beliefs. You'll transform them by challenging them and reframing them. Another reason why people seem to not get what they want is they're unwilling to pay the price. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, everything in life has a price. Not always a monetary price. It can be a price in time, a price in giving up certain relationships because not everyone may support you in what you want to do. How many of you have that great support? Maybe there's people you need to limit. So there's prices that you're going to have to pay. And there are always steps leading up to the goals you want. Like I said, there's always a trail that has been blazed. Ask someone that has accomplished something that you want to do. If someone has just learned how to maybe put in wood floors, ask them how they did it. The trail has been blazed. The knowledge is there. You have lots of resources. And then there's always the self-discipline. Self-discipline is doing the things you don't want to do. And this is where a lot of people drop the ball. I mean, self-discipline is what separates the people that get the things they want in life, accomplishments, from those who are just interested but yet not committed. And like I said earlier, you will get results. So what can you do with your results? Use them as a compass, tweak it, test it, try something new. You got a result you did not like, try something new. If that doesn't work, you know the story. Keep trying something new. You've got to be persistent because the world needs you. You know, you have unique talents and gifts that only you can deliver. You can help others. You can make others' lives better. You can make your own life better in the process and serve others in a big way. You know, a lot of people say that they want to change the world, and that's a great goal. But before you can change the world, you've got to change your world first. So the takeaways as we wrap up this webcast, I want you to stop living a life of quiet desperation. Stop blaming others, parents, the biggest blamers, the government, the economy, your boss, your kids, your neighbor. Take 100% personal responsibility. And then you got to imagine your possibilities. You got to know what you want. You've got to get clear. And again, action, tiny baby steps towards your future, because consistency is the key. You've got to do small little things that you can do consistently instead of trying to go for the gusto and do great things only occasionally. And I also want to invite you to get a copy of the book. You can go to nomorebigbuts.com/Amazon. It is also available on Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com. And if you are of the instant gratification type, you can get access with a Kindle, so you can read it as soon as you are ready to check it out online. And I want to suggest you buy two. Get one for you and one for someone else you feel can use this information. Maybe someone that has lost their way. And if you do, you can take advantage of the free shipping. And they will think nicely of you. So again, I want you to take correct action. In the next 24 hours, I want you to promise me you'll choose one limiting belief that you can start working on within the next 24 hours. Yes, the clock is ticking. Within the next 24 hours, so you can stop living the greatest lie ever told. Now, I want you to go back to No More Big Butts. There was that free gift I told you about. You can download my 7 secrets to add excitement to your life, because who doesn't want to add some excitement to your life? So again, you can get your free gift at www.nomorebigbuts. And I want you to imagine your possibilities. I want to thank you for your time this evening, this morning, this afternoon. I hope that the information has been of value to you, that you can find just one takeaway that you can use to implement. Remember, everyone has different goals. Everyone has different visions. Everyone is unique. Everyone is special. Don't compare yourself to others, because that's only a lesson in frustration. So again, take action, be consistent, and thank you again for your time. My name is Michelle Green. I am the author of No More Big Butts and founder of LifeUnstuck.com. Thanks again. Have a pleasant evening. Bye-bye.